I remember standing by the window, watching them arrive, one by one. Bright gift bags, bottles of something I can't drink, laughter a few decibels too loud, like they'd already decided this was their day. Not mine. The balloons were still swaying from where I tied them up last night. Pink and lavender, soft and hopeful. I'd stayed up until 2 a.m. icing cupcakes because Mum forgot to confirm the bakery order. Not that she'd admit it. She'd probably tell people she baked them herself, like always. Like the one time she made a lasagna in 2003 earned her a lifetime award for maternal effort. The doorbell rang and I put on my smile. The one I've trained for years, the kind that doesn't reach my eyes but convinces people I'm fine, just tired, just hormonal. "Come in," I chirped, stepping aside as Mum swept in like she owned the place. She kissed my cheek like a formality and immediately beelined for the kitchen, inspecting the spread I'd laid out. "Oh, you did the grazing board like I told you?" she beamed, touching grapes I just washed. "No, how are you? No, you look lovely. Just a claim of credit." Again. Dad came in behind her, already mid-call on his phone. He gave me a pat on the arm, didn't even pause the conversation, didn't even look. I could have been the neighbor's dog for all he knew. Then came the others, friends, distant cousins, 2 of Mum's book club mates who once called me the shy one. They all cooed at my bump, like it was some kind of cute handbag I'd borrowed for the occasion. "You're glowing. You're so lucky. It's all belly. Any day now, right?" I smiled. I nodded. I laughed. And somewhere deep down, I curled tighter. They didn't help set up. They didn't offer. Not one offered to carry in the folding chairs or help refill the jugs of elderflower fizz. And still, they acted like it was their show. Like I was the opening act for whatever drama they'd bring with them. And then, of course, he walked in. Ethan. Late, as usual, and louder than necessary. "The man of the hour!" Dad bellowed, dropping his phone call at last. Everyone turned, applause, actual applause, at my baby shower. For him. I stood there, one hand on my belly, the other holding a paper, plate watching as they all circled around him, asking about uni choices. Oxford or Cambridge? "Oh, he's going places this one." Mum wiped a tear and said, "We're just so proud." I looked down at the cake I baked myself, the one that said "Welcome Little One" in piped. Pink icing. I watched a fly land on it. I didn't bother to swat it away. This was supposed to be for me. I laughed quietly, though nothing was funny, not anymore. I don't remember sitting down. One minute I was standing with cake crumbs and silence stuck in my throat. The next, I was in the corner of my own living room, smiling like I was watching someone else's life unfold. Someone else's baby shower. Mum handed Ethan a flute of Prosecco, my Prosecco. She didn't even glance at me when she popped the second bottle. "Just one glass won't hurt," she said to someone, probably herself, as she poured one for herself too. "It's a celebration after all." "Yeah. Whose, though?" Ethan plopped, himself in the center of the room like a prince returning from war. Still in his trainers, I noticed. Mud on the soles. He didn't even take his shoes off. And nobody cared. "I've made my decision," he announced dramatically, raising the glass. The room hushed. Everyone turned toward him like sunflowers stretching to meet the light. Aunt Denise gasped. Dad clapped his hands together. Mum put a hand to her chest. "I'm going to Columbia," he said, dragging out the name like it was gold-plated. Cheers erupted. Someone actually whooped. And just like that, my baby shower became a college send-off party. For my brother. My younger brother. My golden boy, baby brother. I clapped. 3 polite little claps. That's all I could manage without the plates and platters on the table shaking from how hard my hands were trembling. Columbia. In New York. Across the Atlantic. A private university. One of the most expensive in the world. I looked at Dad. He was grinning so hard I thought his face might split. "We'll make it work," he was telling one of the cousins. "Whatever it takes, he deserves this." And suddenly the room felt tighter. Not physically, I mean emotionally, spiritually. like the air was being siphoned out of my lungs and given to him, always to him. Because let's rewind, shall we? 3 years ago, I got into a top midwifery program. I didn't get applause, I didn't get cake. I got a phone call from Mom asking if I could defer and help out while Ethan prepped for his A-levels. "You'll still be around when you're older," she said. "He only gets one shot." And I gave it up. I gave it all up. For them. For him. I worked, I saved. I took the night shifts no one wanted at the care home down the road. I got this house on my own, 2 bedrooms, front garden, mortgage in my name. Every pillow fluffed, every curtain hung, every stupid pot holder stitched with a pun about tea or babies. I did it all. And yet, today, I was invisible. Again. I caught Mom wiping her eyes, proudly. She leaned into Ethan, whispering like she was in a rom-com. "You were always meant for more than this place. This place. My home. My baby's home." I sipped my lukewarm tea and rested my hand on my belly again. She kicked gently. A little thump, like she knew. "Yeah, I know, love. I see it too. And this time, I'm not swallowing it." After everyone left, I stood at the sink, staring out the window as dusk settled in like a sigh. The house was quieter than it had been all day. A weird kind of quiet. Not peaceful. More stripped. Hollowed out. There were still traces of the party, wrappers on the sideboard, someone's half-eaten quiche on the radiator, balloons bobbing lazily in the draft. I could hear Ethan laughing in the guest room with his mates, door wide open like he owned the place. Mom and Dad were in the lounge, arguing about train tickets to the Columbia Open Day like they didn't just crash my baby shower with someone else's celebration. I washed a plate slowly, methodically. Like if I didn't focus, I'd shatter it in my hands. I didn't expect applause, you know. I wasn't angling for tears or Pinterest boards of baby gifts. But a moment. Just one bloody moment where this day got to be about me. About my baby. About this new life I'm growing. This new life I chose. Instead, I got put on pause. Again. Like I always have. It's funny. The little things you start remembering when you're angry. Like that school talent show when I sang, and they were too busy fussing over Ethan's nosebleed from football practice to even notice I won second place. Or when I got my first job, and Mom said, "Don't rub it in, your brother's still looking." Even birthdays. I always shared mine with Nan, and she died when I was 12, but somehow we still call it Nan's birthday to this day. You start to realize that invisibility isn't a moment. It's a pattern, a choice. And here I am, pregnant, 30, single, but safe, stable, with a solid plan. I've built a world for this child, not one made of confetti or ego, but of peace, of consistency, of warmth. I did all that by myself. No handouts, no shortcuts, no family savings dumped into my dreams. I heard Mom laugh in the other room. A light, easy laugh. Like she wasn't in my house using my wine glasses after derailing my entire afternoon. Like she hadn't spent years casually flattening me with her expectations. And something inside me snapped. Not loudly, not violently, but definitively. Like the click of a lock turning, one you didn't even realize was bolted. I wiped my hands. On a tea towel, hung it carefully, then walked into the lounge. Dad was saying something about tuition fees. Ethan's name was still in the air like a song stuck on repeat. "I'm glad you're all so excited," I said calmly. They turned to look at me, startled, like they'd forgotten I was still here. Still pregnant? Still the one who invited them in. "Of course we are," Mom said, smiling, wine glass in hand. "This is huge. Columbia." I nodded. "It is huge. For Ethan." A pause. "I'll be in touch tomorrow," I added. "About when I'd like you all out of the house." Mum blinked. "Out? This is my home, your guess. And I'm done being a footnote in my own story." They laughed. First like I was joking, then nervously, then not at all. I walked back to the kitchen before the panic fully landed on their faces. I wasn't doing it for the drama. I was doing it because my daughter, my little girl, deserves better than this legacy of quiet erasure. She deserves to be seen. and I deserve to be the woman who shows her how. I didn't hear anything from them the rest of that night. Mom sent me a text, apologizing, saying she'd misunderstood what I meant. Dad called briefly to ask if I was sure, as though it was a decision I could take back like an RSVP. Ethan didn't bother. He never does unless there's something in it for him. Typical. But the silence was deafening. I wasn't sure which was worse, their attempts at placating me or the fact that they didn't actually care enough to really engage. The next morning, I made myself coffee. Strong enough to cut through the fog, the tiredness still clinging to. My bones after yesterday's blow. I didn't even have to think about what came next. It was all instinct. The final puzzle piece had clicked into place, and now it was just a matter of executing it. I spent the morning drafting the letter, the one that would make it official. Something formal. Something with the power of my name in it. No more whispered arguments in the kitchen or half-hearted apologies. No more wondering if I'd made a mistake. I wasn't backing. Down. "Dear Mom and Dad," it began in my most polite, businesslike tone. I'd already started researching eviction laws the night before. I'd combed through my mortgage documents. I knew exactly how to frame it so it didn't sound like a tantrum, but a final, well-structured decision. I wasn't kicking them out because I was angry, though I was. I was doing it because I had to move on with my life. I was done waiting for their permission to be the woman I was always meant to be. I added in the bits about how they could always visit, on my terms, and how this wasn't a decision I came to lightly. I wasn't going to pretend this was easy, but I couldn't keep letting them walk all over me. I wasn't their sidekick anymore. Not in my own house. Not with my own family. By the time the letter was done, my hands were shaking slightly. But I was proud. It was everything I'd needed to say for years, but had never had the courage to articulate. Until now. I printed it out, sealed the envelope with a final, satisfying crease, and placed it on the hallway table. The phone rang. Mom. I let it ring, waiting for the right moment. She could stew for a bit. When I finally picked up, her voice was soft but insistent. "Lily, please, we're trying to understand why this is happening. You're not being fair." I glanced at the letter, then at the wall where I'd started writing my birth plan in black ink. Both felt like promises. Promises I was going to keep. "I've given you all the fairness I have left," I said, my voice steady. "It's my turn now." And I hung up. The house feels different now. Quieter somehow. More empty, though I can't decide if it's the absence of their presence or the anticipation of what's coming. Either way, it's like a weight's been lifted, and for the first time in years, I can breathe without feeling like someone's watching me, judging me for not being enough. I can almost feel my daughter moving, as though she knows what I'm doing, what I've already done. It's strange, but in this silence, I can hear my own heartbeat more clearly. The way it quickens when I think about what's next, what's finally within my reach. I sit on the couch, legs tucked beneath me, looking around at the space I've worked so hard for. The bookshelves I filled with everything I could carry from my old flat when I left. The dining room table where I'll feed my daughter one day. The nursery I haven't yet finished, but will soon. I trace the outlines of the baby clothes in the wardrobe, still wrapped in soft pastel paper from the shower. The gifts I never wanted, never asked for. And yet they arrived anyway, with that air of, "We did this for you," as if that made it all okay. As if giving me things I never needed, could undo the years of their absence. My phone buzzes, dragging me out of my thoughts. It's Ethan. Of course it is. The one who never listens until it's too late. He doesn't even text, "Hello." Just, "Where are you?" I don't respond immediately, the words coming to mind, but I'm not ready to send them. I don't want to engage in a conversation I know will just drain me. So, I wait. A few minutes pass. My thumb hovers over the keyboard, then I type, "I'm at home. Not coming to see you." He replies in seconds. "I don't understand why you're doing this. This is your family. We need to be there for each other." Can practically hear the words, that tone of superiority, the one that always made me feel small, the one that always implied I was too sensitive, too dramatic, Too much. To me. And I think, is this it? Is this the last time I let him do this to me? I'm choosing something different now, I write back. Something better than what you all offered me. I press send. It feels like the first time I've truly stood up for myself in this family, the first time I've said, enough. The phone stays silent for a while. Ethan doesn't reply. And for the first time, I feel a bit of peace in the absence of their voices, their demands. I turn the phone face down on the table. I don't need it anymore. Not right now. When I walk into the nursery later, the sunlight filters through the curtains, soft and warm. It's one of those rare moments when everything feels just right. The world outside is loud, chaotic, but in here, in this space, I am at peace. I've made my choice. I've chosen my daughter over everything that's ever made me feel less than. And for the first time in my life, I think, this is enough. It's the morning after the storm, after everything that has been said and left unsaid. The air feels different now, like a storm passed through and cleared the skies. But the difference isn't in the house, it's in me. I feel lighter, like I can finally breathe. I didn't hear from Ethan after that text. Not that I expected him to understand. He never did. The thing about family is that you can't always get them to see you for who you are, not unless they're ready to. And they weren't. They never were. But that's okay. I'm done waiting. The house is still. Too still. I should feel angry, maybe even regretful for what I've done. But all I feel is a strange sense of calm, of freedom. I pull on my jacket, feeling my daughter shift inside of me. It's like she knows. She's been waiting for me to make this choice too. I step out of the front door, the cool morning air brushing against my face. The sun is just beginning to rise, casting a soft glow over everything. It's a new day, a new chapter. I don't know what will come of this. I don't know if Ethan will ever truly see what I've done or if my parents will ever come around. They don't deserve my forgiveness. But I don't need their approval anymore. The car's engine hums beneath me as I drive. The road feels different. Beneath my tires, like it's stretching out before me in a way it never has. I can do this now. I can be the mother I've always wanted to be. I can be the person I've spent so many years trying to prove I was worthy of being. I don't need them, and I don't need anyone else to tell me how to live my life. As I pull up to the park, I can't help but smile. There's a small bench near the water. It's been a while since I've been here, but it's the place I always used to come when I needed to think. When I needed to remind myself that I was enough, even if no one else thought so. I sit there now, letting the breeze blow through my hair, letting the sunlight warm my skin. I think of my daughter again, of her tiny hands and her soft cries, of everything I want to give her that I never got myself. I'll be the mother she needs. I'll show her what it means to choose yourself, to never settle for less than you deserve. And in this moment, I realize it's not about them anymore. It's about me. It's about her. And for the first time, I know that I'm ready.
I never thought telling my mother I was pregnant would be this hard. I mean, in some ways I should have known. We've never been close, not really. But still, you'd think your own mother would at least act happy for you when you tell her you're having a baby. I didn't expect fireworks or anything, but a little support wouldn't hurt, right? But that wasn't the reaction I got. The words, when they came, were sharper than I could have imagined. "A mistake," she said, the words falling from her, lips like they were the most casual thing in the world. "You're having a mistake. It's funny how a single sentence can make everything inside you freeze. A mistake." I don't know why I was surprised. Her reactions were never much different, even when I was younger. My achievements, small as they were often overshadowed by her criticisms. That I was too loud, too quiet, too clumsy, too something. Never enough. Never what she wanted me to be. But this was different. This was my child, and the cruelty in her words hit harder than anything I'd ever felt before. I wasn't expecting her to jump up and start planning the baby shower or anything, but I was hoping for something, anything that resembled warmth. A hug, a word of encouragement, maybe even a question. But no, nothing. Just that one cold word. A mistake. I stood there, frozen, my heart beating fast as I searched her face for any sign of softness, any flicker of love. But there was nothing. She looked at me, not with pity, but with something I couldn't quite place. Disappointment, maybe? It didn't matter. It didn't change the fact that I was on my own. I thought about the last few months. The morning. Sickness that had made getting through the day a challenge, the doctor's visits, the endless planning of what needed to be done before the baby arrived. And all of it was happening without any real help from her. I remember the first time I told her I was pregnant, how I hesitated, hoping maybe, just maybe, this would be the one time she'd show up for me. But that hope quickly evaporated the second the word mistake left her lips. The truth is, I've spent my whole life craving some sort of approval from her. I've wanted her love, her support, her recognition. But it was always just out of reach. Every accomplishment I achieved, every milestone I passed, seemed to only serve as a reminder of how little I mattered to her. I stood there for a long time, feeling the weight of her words settle in my chest. This wasn't just about the baby. It wasn't just about me being pregnant. It was about the years of emotional neglect that had led up to this moment. It was about the years I'd spent feeling like I wasn't enough. It was about the realization that I would never get what I wanted from her. Never the love, never the warmth, never the support. And in that moment, something clicked inside me. I wasn't going to wait around anymore, hoping for something that would never come. I wasn't going to keep putting myself through this emotional exhaustion. I had a baby to think about now. I had to prepare for this new life, whether anyone else helped me or not. I looked at her then, standing there, still waiting for some sort of reaction from me. But I had nothing left to say. No more begging, no more hoping. Just silence. And in that silence, I made a promise to myself. I was going to do this on my own. I was going to raise my baby on my own, and I wasn't going to let anyone, especially not her, make me feel like I was anything less than capable. Fine. I said, turning away from her. I'll handle it myself. The months that followed were nothing short of a blur. I spent my days working as much as I could, trying to save up for what was coming, and my nights planning and preparing for the baby. There was no time to dwell on what I didn't have. No time to wait around for someone to come and fix things. I couldn't afford that luxury. The first few weeks after the announcement were the hardest. The silence between my mother and me was deafening. Every time I saw her, it was like we were strangers. She'd glance at my belly, look away, and that would be it. No questions, no congratulations, no offers of help. It wasn't even the absence of love anymore. It was the presence of something worse, the indifference. I wasn't expecting her to throw me a baby shower, but I thought she might at least ask if I needed help with the baby's room, or the basics, or anything. But no. I had to take care of everything on my own, so I did. I started picking out baby clothes, bottles, blankets, all the little things that make you feel like you're actually preparing for something real. I found a small secondhand crib that needed a little work, and I got to fixing it. I'd never been much of a handyman, but I was determined. I couldn't afford a brand new crib, and I didn't need a perfect one. I just needed something sturdy, something that would keep my baby safe. I had a small apartment, barely enough space for myself, let alone a child, but I made do. The corners were crowded, with boxes, clothes, diapers, and 1,000 tiny little things that seemed to pile up in the blink of an eye. The more I prepared, the more I realized how alone I really was. No one else seemed to notice how hard I was working, or how exhausted I was by the end of every day. It felt like the more I did, the less anyone cared. But I kept pushing forward. Because that's all I could do. I had to keep moving. I had to prove that I could do this, with or without anyone's help. I didn't have time to feel sorry for myself, not when my baby needed me. I spent hours looking online for baby names. It seemed like something small, something that could bring me some joy in the middle of everything. I picked out a few names, but I couldn't settle on any of them. They all felt so impersonal. Nothing felt right. But then I came across one that felt different. It was simple, beautiful, and full of hope. The name was going to be perfect. I didn't tell anyone, not even my mother. There was no point. She didn't ask. She never asked. I couldn't even remember the last time she'd asked me how I was doing, let alone what I was planning for the baby. There was one moment, a few weeks after that awful conversation, when I found myself sitting on the floor of the nursery, surrounded by baby things, just staring at the wall. I had a picture in my mind, me and my baby, safe, together. It wasn't going to be easy, I knew that, but I could do it. I had to. I thought about the way my mother had looked at me, how she never seemed to believe in me, never seemed to believe that I could amount to anything. I'd spent years trying to prove myself to her, trying to win her approval. But now, I was finally seeing the truth. She wasn't going to change. I was never going to be what she wanted me to be. And that was okay, because now I had a different purpose. I had a reason to fight for myself, for my baby. I made a decision right then and there. I was going to do this. I was going to give my baby everything I never had. I was going to make sure she felt loved, wanted, and important, something I'd never really felt growing up. I wasn't going to let anyone take that away from her, not even my own mother. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months. The baby bump grew, and so did my determination. And every time I felt a little overwhelmed, I just closed my eyes and thought about that tiny little life growing inside me. I thought about the future I was building, one that was entirely my own, and the more I did, the more I realized that even if no one else saw me, I was building something beautiful. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their help. I had everything I needed right here inside me. The day of the baby's naming ceremony arrived before I was ready, but then again, I was never really going to be ready. No one could prepare you for the moment when you suddenly felt the weight of a new life in your hands, a life you were responsible for, a life that would depend on you to get everything right. The ceremony was small, just a few close friends, no family. I didn't even invite my mother. I knew what she would say, and I knew what she wouldn't. And for once, I didn't want her opinion tainting the one thing I was holding on to, the one thing that still made me feel good about myself. My baby, I dressed her in a soft, pale pink onesie, the kind that felt like the gentlest thing in the world. She was so small, so fragile, but in her tiny hands I could feel strength. It was the kind of strength I'd been searching for my whole life, and I had found it in her. I wasn't sure who she was going to grow up to be, but I knew who I was going to become because of her. I held her close to my chest, rocking her gently, and whispered her name to her. I had chosen it carefully, with love and thought. It was more than a name. It was a promise that no matter what happened, I would always make sure she knew that she was wanted. She was not a mistake. She was everything I had ever dreamed of. The guests arrived, a handful of close friends who had supported me along the way. They were the ones who had listened to me vent, who had reassured me when I thought I couldn't do it anymore. They were the ones who had shown me what real love was. None of them had ever made me feel like I didn't matter. I looked around the room at the faces of people who cared, and for the first time in months, I felt like I wasn't alone. It was hard to describe the feeling. It wasn't happiness. Exactly, but it was something close to it. It was a calm, a sense of peace that came from knowing that I had a new family now. A family built on trust and understanding. A family that actually wanted me to succeed, but there was still one person who wasn't there. My mother. She hadn't even asked if I was having the ceremony. She hadn't even texted to ask how I was doing or if I needed anything. I could feel her absence in the room, but I pushed it away. I didn't need her approval. I didn't need her to see me standing here with my baby. I had already proven that I could do this, and I didn't need her to validate it. I was already enough, and so was my baby. The ceremony was simple. We said a few words, exchanged some gifts, and then it was time to go. I felt like the day had passed in a dream, like it wasn't really happening. My hands were trembling as I carefully placed my daughter in her crib for the first time. I kissed her forehead, my heart swelling with a love I couldn't even begin to describe. I knew this was the start of something new, something better. As the last guest left, I stood by the door, holding the envelope in my hand. It was something I had been carrying around with me for a while, unsure of whether I would ever actually do it. But today, something felt different. My resolve had grown over the months, and now I knew that I couldn't keep holding on to a relationship that had never given me anything but hurt. I walked to the small table, opened the envelope, and pulled out the letter I had written. It was simple, but the words carried all the weight of a lifetime of disappointment. I folded it neatly and slipped it into my mother's hands, along with the ultrasound photo. I didn't need to say anything. The letter spoke for itself. It wasn't just a goodbye. It was a statement, a declaration. You called her a mistake, I thought, as I stared at my mother's face. She's my reason. The silence in the room was heavy when I handed her the envelope. I could feel her eyes on me, the way she hesitated before taking it. There was a time when I would have waited for her to say something, to make a comment or a joke that would somehow make everything feel like it was normal again. But today, I was done waiting for her to act like a mother. Today, I was done pretending. She opened the envelope slowly, her fingers trembling slightly, though I didn't know if it was from anger or guilt. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her, but the feeling passed as quickly as it had come. She wasn't the one who deserved sympathy. I was. The letter inside was short, just a few lines, but it carried everything I had been carrying around for years. Every moment of her ignoring me, every cruel word, every time I had asked for help and been told to figure it out on my own. I had never felt truly loved by her, never felt like I mattered to her. But now, I wasn't asking for anything from her. I was telling her that I was done. I didn't need her anymore. As she read the words, her face shifted. There was confusion. First, then anger, and finally, I think, a bit of understanding. But it didn't matter. It didn't change anything. Her reaction wasn't going to fix the years of neglect. I watched her face carefully as she processed what I had said. The anger in her eyes was unmistakable, and it made something inside me harden. She hadn't read the letter yet, but she already knew what it meant. She knew what it meant to me. The ultrasound photo was the last thing in the envelope. It had been tucked behind the letter, a reminder of everything I had been through to get to this point. She didn't even glance at it right away. It wasn't a surprise. She had never seen my pregnancy as anything but a burden. To her, this baby had always been a mistake, a wrong turn in my life that I had to fix. But that was her mistake, not mine. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she looked up at me. Her expression was unreadable, a mix of disbelief and frustration. "You really think you're doing the right thing?" she asked, her voice laced with anger, maybe even a little desperation. It was the kind of question I had heard 1,000 times before, every time she judged me or put me down. But this time, I wasn't going to let her words affect me. I wasn't going to let her guilt me into feeling like I was the one who had failed. I looked at her, my gaze steady. "Yes," I said, my voice firm. "I'm doing the right thing for me. For her." I nodded down at my baby, who was still asleep in her crib. "And if you can't see that, then I don't need you in my life anymore." She stood there for a long moment, holding the letter in her hands, but her eyes had already shifted from me to the floor, as though she couldn't face what I had just said. It was almost too easy, watching her crumble under the weight of her own failure. "I don't think I can do this with you anymore," I added quietly, my heart pounding. "I'm sorry, but I've had enough." There was a long pause, and then, without another word, she left. I didn't even need to look up to know that she was gone. I had felt the finality of it the moment I handed her the letter. This was it. This was the end of everything I had been afraid to do for so long. I sank onto the couch, my hands shaking slightly, but not from fear, from relief. I had finally done it. I had cut the ties that had kept me bound to a person who had never really cared about me, and for the first time in my life, I felt free. It's strange how silence can be so loud. After she left, the house felt almost too quiet. The kind of quiet that settles deep in your bones, a space where every breath you take feels too loud. I sat there, staring at the door, wondering if she was going to come back, wondering if I had made a mistake. But deep down, I knew the answer. No. The weight that had been on my chest for so long felt lighter now, even though the room was empty. It wasn't that I was relieved to be without her. It was that I finally felt like I could breathe, like I could live without constantly waiting for her approval or her disapproval. For the first time, I wasn't holding my breath. I stood up from the couch and walked over to the crib. My baby, my daughter. She was so small, so fragile, and yet she had already given me more strength than I had ever known I had. She was the reason I was here today. The reason I had found the courage to do something I should have done years ago. Her tiny hand reached out in her sleep, a soft little wave that made me smile. I ran my fingers through her hair, marveling at how perfect she was. How beautiful, how innocent. I hadn't realized just how much of myself I had lost trying to hold on to my mother. There was always a part of me that was waiting for her to change, to become the mother I'd always dreamed of. But she never would. She wasn't going to change for me, and I couldn't keep living my life like that. I couldn't keep hoping for something that would never come. And now, as I looked down at my daughter, I realized something even more important. I had a new life to build. A life that didn't need to be tethered to the past. A life where I could choose what kind of mother I wanted to be. It wasn't going to be easy. I knew that. I knew there would be hard days, nights when I cried in the dark, wondering how I was going to do it all on my own. But I also knew that I could do it. For her. The baby's small, steady breath seemed to echo through the room as I thought about what I'd just done. What I'd just chosen. It felt like I had made a clean break, as though I had severed a tie that had kept me chained to something that was never meant to be. But I also knew I was still human. I was still grieving. I was still angry. There were times when I would wonder if I had done the right thing, if I had hurt her more than I meant to. But the truth was, I couldn't worry about her anymore. I couldn't keep sacrificing my happiness and my future for someone who had never cared enough to make me feel like I mattered. I kissed my daughter's forehead, whispering words of comfort, even though she couldn't understand them yet. Maybe she never would, but I promised her something in that moment. I promised that I would never make her feel the way I had felt. I would never let her feel like a mistake. The night seemed to stretch on forever, the darkness pressing in on me, but I felt a sense of calm that I hadn't felt in years. I wasn't waiting for someone else to tell me who I was. I wasn't waiting for permission. I was doing this, on my own, for her. I never thought I'd see the day when I wouldn't feel the weight of her voice in my head. But here I am, sitting in the quiet of my new life, and I can almost hear the silence echoing around me in a way that feels liberating. It's been a few weeks now since I handed her that letter. A few weeks since I said goodbye, not to the woman who gave birth to me, but to the woman I had always wished she could be, the one who never was. And it's been hard. In ways I didn't expect. I thought that walking away would feel like a final step, a moment of peace. But in the days after I closed the door behind her, I found myself replaying everything. Her words, the things she never said, the things I could never ask for. I'd spent so much of my life waiting for her approval, and now I was free. But it felt like an empty freedom sometimes, the kind that leaves you wondering if the people you let go ever miss you at all. But then, there's my daughter. She's the reason I'm here, the reason I'm still standing. She's everything I never had, and everything I never knew I needed. And every time I see her smile, I remember why I did what I did. I know the road ahead won't always be smooth. There will be challenges, moments when the loneliness creeps in, when I wish there was someone else to share the weight of it all. But then I look down at her, and I realize, maybe that's okay. Maybe I don't need anyone else to tell me I'm enough. I'm enough for her, and that's all that matters. My baby girl, who I've held in my arms so many times now, is my new reason. Not just for surviving, but for thriving. For learning how to love myself the way I want her to love herself when she's older. for teaching her that she is never a mistake. She is my greatest achievement. As I sit here, holding her close, I know I can't protect her from everything. Life will throw its challenges at her, just like it has at me. But one thing I can promise, I'll never make her feel like she's a burden. She will never be a mistake. I've learned that there is no such thing as a perfect mother, but I will be the best one I can be. And maybe, just maybe, that will be enough to show her how much she means to me. And as I look out the window, the morning light filtering through, I see a future that's wide open. It's mine to shape now, mine and hers, and we'll be okay. We will be more than okay.
It's a typical afternoon, the kind where the sun hits the windows at just the right angle, and everything seems fine. Sarah and Jack sit across from me in the small cafe we've been coming to for months. It's our place, the three of us. Always. Together. Always laughing, always talking about life as though it's a sitcom we're all starring in. Jack's got his arm around Sarah, his voice teasing as he nudges her, but it doesn't seem like it's anything new. We've been friends for so long, nothing ever felt out of place. But there's something in the air today. A shift. It's subtle at first. Something about the way Jack won't look at me when I talk. How his eyes keep flickering to his phone, and how when he catches me watching him, he suddenly seems so focused on my words, like he's trying a little too hard. I should let it go. Maybe I'm imagining things. I shake my head, taking a sip of my coffee. "Everything okay?" Sarah asks, giving me that look she always does when she's trying to read me, trying to be the good friend. Her lips are curled into a small smile, but I can see the way she's eyeing Jack out of the corner of her eye, the way her hand lingers on her coffee cup a little longer than necessary. I don't say anything. I smile back. Everything's fine, but it's not fine. Jack's phone buzzes again, louder than usual. He's quick to swipe it up, and before I can catch a glimpse of it, he's flipping it face down on the table, his hand covering it like he's shielding it from the world. He looks at me with an almost apologetic smile. "Sorry, work?" he says, brushing it off with a wave. I nod, forcing myself to believe him, but the knot in my stomach tightens. It's not just the phone. It's everything. It's the way he's pulling away, the way he's looking at Sarah with a softness that I haven't seen in ages. They're too comfortable, too familiar with each other. It's like I'm the outsider here, and they're the ones with the secret. Then, as if on cue, Sarah's phone vibrates. She pulls it out, checks the screen, and lets out a soft laugh. An inside joke. Something I don't know. I'm not sure if it's that laugh, or the way Jack suddenly shifts his attention back to his drink, but it hits me all at once. I don't want to believe it. I don't want to even think it. But it's there in the back of my mind like an itch I can't scratch. I tell myself I'm just being paranoid. It's nothing. I've known them both for years. It's nothing. But then, as if the universe wants to prove me wrong, Sarah's phone vibrates again. She checks it, her smile faltering just a fraction, just enough for me to notice. She looks at me, a flicker of something I can't name passing through her eyes. And then it happens. Jack's phone buzzes again. This time, he doesn't even try to hide it. He's already picking it up, his thumb flying over the screen. "Jack?" I say, my voice suddenly feeling far too loud in the quiet cafe. "Let me see it." He freezes, just for a second, but it's long enough for me to see something flash across his face. Something I don't recognize, something I don't like. I can't," he stammers. "It's work stuff." I press my lips together. My stomach is doing somersaults now, my mind racing. Work stuff? My gaze flickers to Sarah, but she's looking away, busy with her phone again. Too busy, too distracted. I reach out, slowly, just a touch of his phone, but he pulls it away. His fingers grip it tighter. "Let me see it," I repeat, my voice firm now, cutting through the air between us. Jack's eyes widen, and for the first time today, he doesn't look at me like I'm his girlfriend. He looks at me like I'm something else, something he's trying to avoid, and that's when I know. I don't need to see the phone. I already know. I've known for a while, but this is the moment I can't unknow it. I turn to Sarah. Her face is still relaxed, but her eyes dart to Jack and back to me, a flicker of guilt flashing too quickly for me to catch. But I see it. She doesn't even try to hide it. Something twists in my chest. And that's when the phone rings. Jack's phone. His ringtone. The same one it always is. I already know who it is before he answers it. "Hey, babe," he says, too casually. Too easy. And just like that, the world shifts again. I'm not stupid. I know exactly who's on the other end of that phone. The moment I get home, I lock the door behind me and throw my bag on the couch, trying to shake the feeling of something heavy sitting in my chest. The cafe, the phones, the stolen glances, everything feels too vivid now, like I can see it all in high definition when I close my eyes. But I can't stop myself from replaying it all in my mind, again and again. I try to shake it off, to focus on something, anything else. But the truth keeps gnawing at me, demanding my attention. I can't ignore it anymore. Jack and Sarah have been whatever they've been doing, and I can't just sit back and let it eat me alive. For the next few days, I'm like a different version of myself. I'm quiet. I keep my distance, pretending everything's fine, but inside, I'm making plans. I start paying more attention to little things I hadn't noticed before. Jack's late nights, his excuses, his phone constantly buzzing with messages he won't let me see, Sarah's strange behavior, the way she avoids looking me in the eye when we talk, the way she's suddenly too busy when I try to make plans. It all adds up, doesn't it? The pieces fall into place, one by one. I won't confront them. Not yet. That's not how this is going to go. Instead, I start collecting proof. Not because I want to hurt them, but because I need to know the truth. And once I have it, I won't need anyone's permission to act on it. So, I start paying closer attention to Jack's routine. I pick up on the little things, the way his phone vibrates every time we're together, but he never answers it when I'm around. The way he smiles at his screen when I'm not looking, how his hand always hovers over it, like it's a secret he's terrified of letting slip. It's almost pathetic how obvious it is once you know what to look for. I start checking his social media, too. I know, it's invasive, but I'm not doing this for fun. I'm doing it for closure. And if I find something, well, I'll know I'm right. And if I don't, at least I can tell myself I tried to trust him. There are the usual posts, the check-ins at places we've been, photos from nights out with friends. But then there's one post that catches my eye. It's a photo of Sarah, her back to the camera, but the caption makes my stomach turn. "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. You've got me hooked." It's a comment on her post, a private message, not meant for me to see. I can feel the blood drain from my face as I read it. I keep reading it over and over, trying to convince myself it's just some harmless joke, something they can laugh off. But I know what it is, and it's not a joke. I save the screen, the photo, the comments, the messages. My fingers tremble, but I can't stop myself from doing it. I have to be certain. I have to see it all laid out in front of me so there's no more guessing, no more wondering. This is happening, and I'm going to make them face it. The next day, I pick up a memory stick, a small, innocuous thing. I plug it into my laptop and start saving everything. The messages, the photos, the evidence. I make sure to back up every detail just in case. It's strange how easy it is to slip into this role. The detective, the observer, the woman who's just waiting for the right moment to take action. I pause for a moment, staring at the screen, looking at the life I thought I had, the life I thought I was building with Jack. It feels like a distant memory now, as though I'm looking at someone else's life, someone else's mistakes. But I'm not done yet. Not by a long shot. I need more proof. I need more than just screenshots and text messages. I need something big, something undeniable. So I wait. I wait for the next opportunity to strike. The evening of my birthday dinner arrives like a storm cloud hanging heavy in the sky. My apartment is spotless, too clean, almost suffocating. It's a far cry from the casual, unassuming space I'd always kept it to be, the one where Jack and I would laugh about dumb things while Sarah snacked on chips and passed around the wine. The same old routine, only this time it feels different. Everything feels off. I glance at the clock. It's not even 7 yet, but I can't stop. Pacing, I've already texted both of them. Can't wait to celebrate with you guys tonight. 7 p.m. sharp. Let's make it a night to remember. The message was bright and casual. Too casual, considering the weight of what's about to happen. I make myself a drink and sit at the kitchen table, scrolling through the evidence on my phone, making sure everything is saved, double-checked, everything in its right place. The screenshots are a perfect timeline. The late-night texts, the hidden photos, and the worst one, the message from Jack to Sarah that made me almost sick to my stomach. I know I'm not being paranoid anymore. This isn't just a suspicion, this is betrayal. I take a deep breath, feeling the cold edge of determination creeping into my bones. It's time. I've done all the work. I've planned every detail, every word, every breath. This is the moment. No more uncertainty. No more lying to myself. At 6:55 p.m., the doorbell rings. It's Jack, of course. I open the door and let him in with a smile that's a little too tight. He's early, but I don't mind. Not yet, anyway. He steps inside, wrapping me in a quick hug, his cologne sharp and familiar. He looks good, as always. Too good. Maybe that's what gets under my skin the most. He's still acting like everything's fine, like everything's normal. "Happy birthday, babe," he says, brushing a kiss to my cheek. It should feel nice, but it doesn't. Not anymore. "Thanks," I reply, offering him a drink. "You're early, but I'll take it. You want some wine?" "Sure," he says, taking a seat at the counter. "This place looks great. You've really outdone yourself." I smile, even though it's forced. "Thanks. I wanted it to feel special. You know, like the old days." His eyes twinkle, unaware of how ironic that statement is. The old days, when things were simple, when I didn't know he was sneaking around with my best friend behind my back. The doorbell rings again, and this time it's Sarah. She's fashionably late as usual. Her arrival always carries that same self-assured confidence, the one I've always admired and envied in equal measure. I step back, letting her in with a smile that feels a bit too forced now. She gives me a hug, but it's strange. Like there's a hesitation, a shift in the air between us that she's trying hard to ignore. "Happy birthday," she says brightly, as if nothing is wrong, as if everything's fine. "Thanks, Sarah," I reply, offering her a glass of wine. Her hand lingers, a bit too long on mine, a subtle touch that feels too rehearsed. We sit down, chatting casually, as if nothing is out of place, but the tension builds piece by piece as we talk. I keep my eyes on both of them, watching, waiting for something to slip. I can't help it. Every word, every laugh, every glance they share sends a jolt through my chest. They have no idea what I'm planning, no idea what I'm about to do. I keep the conversation light, focused on nothing too deep, nothing too revealing. I play my part, the gracious birthday host, while underneath, I'm boiling. Dinner passes in a haze of polite conversation, small talk, forced smiles. I can feel my patience thinning, the smile on my face growing weaker with every passing minute. But I know I have to wait. I know I have to let them think everything is normal until I'm ready. Finally, after what feels like hours, we sit down for dessert. Jack pulls out a slice of cake, and as we all take a bite, I stand up. "All right, guys, before we get too comfortable," I say, a fake cheerfulness in my voice, "I have a little surprise for you both." Jack raises an eyebrow. "What's this?" I don't answer. I move to my laptop, plugging it in with a smooth, deliberate motion. The click of the keys is louder than I expect, and for a moment, everything feels too quiet. But I don't care. I'm ready now. I press play. The PowerPoint presentation opens, and the first slide flickers to life on the screen. A picture of Jack and Sarah, taken from Sarah's own social media. The words, "What happens when trust is broken," appear beneath the photo. The room goes silent. The slide clicks, the next image loading with an unsettling, deliberate pace. I watch Jack and Sarah's faces flicker on the screen, photos they both thought were private, moments they believed were hidden from me. My heart pounds in my chest, but I keep my expression steady, my voice even. I want to say something, but I don't. There's no need for words yet. The evidence speaks for itself. Jack leans forward, squinting at the screen. He knows something's wrong now. There's an unfamiliar tension in his posture. a shift in his usually confident demeanor. He glances at Sarah, but she's frozen, her lips parting slightly as she looks from the screen to me, then back to the screen. She's caught. Her eyes widen in realization. She knows what this is. Emma, Jack begins, but his voice falters. There's a crack in his facade. A crack I've never heard before. Keep watching, I say simply, the words coming out like a quiet command. My hands rest lightly on the table in front of me, my fingers steady despite the chaos raging inside me. The next slide clicks over, and the evidence grows more damning. I'm showing them things they never thought would see the light of day. The text between them. The ones where Jack says, "I can't wait to see you tonight. You know I only want you." The ones where Sarah sends a selfie with a caption that stings. "Can't wait for the weekend, babe. You're all I need." It's like a punch to my gut every time I read them in my head, but I keep my voice calm, my tone controlled. I need them to see this, all of it, without me losing my composure. Jack's face is pale now, the color draining from him. He opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. His eyes flicker nervously between me and Sarah, as if he's looking for a way out, some excuse he can cling to. But there's nothing. There's no excuse that could ever justify this. Sarah, on the other hand, is silent. Completely silent. I watch her face twist into something I can't quite place. A mix of guilt, shame, and something else. Something more dangerous. She's not sorry for what she did to me. She's sorry she's been caught. "Sarah," I say, finally addressing her, my voice cold. "Is there anything you want to say? Because I'm waiting." Her mouth opens and closes like she's searching for the right words, but they never come. Finally, she just shakes her head, unable to meet my eyes. I didn't think it would end like this. I scoff, the words bitter in my mouth. Didn't think it would end like this? You didn't think about me at all, did you? You didn't think about the years of friendship, the trust we built, the times we shared. None of that mattered to you when you were in his bed, did it? She looks down at her hands, her cheeks flushed with humiliation. She opens her mouth to speak, but I don't give her the chance. I'm done. The next slide appears. It's a video, grainy but clear. It's Jack and Sarah at a hotel, caught on camera. The evidence is damning, the final nail in the coffin. I don't even need to explain it. I don't want to. Jack turns a deep shade of red, and for the first time tonight, his bravado cracks completely. "Emma, please," he pleads, but I've already made up my mind. His voice is nothing but background noise at this point. I take a slow, deliberate breath. "It's over," I say. "Both of you." I reach for my phone and, with one swift motion, close the laptop. The room is eerily quiet. No one says a word. The air between us is thick with betrayal, regret, and disbelief. But I'm not done yet. I stand up, slowly, letting the silence stretch for a moment longer. You know what the worst part is? It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the fact that I trusted you both. I thought you were my friends. But I was wrong. I look at both of them, my eyes hard. And now, I think it's time for me to go. I grab my bag, slip my phone into my pocket, and walk towards the door. I hear Jack call my name, his voice desperate. "Emma, don't leave, please." But I don't stop. I don't even look back. I open the door and step out, closing it behind me with a soft click. I walk down the hallway to the parking lot, the cool night air hitting my face like a slap, but it feels good. I feel alive. When I get to Jack's car, I pause for a moment, my hand hovering over the handle. I look back at the apartment building, and for a second, I almost reconsider. But no, I'm done. I slip into the driver's seat, turn the key in the ignition, and drive off, leaving them behind. And for the first time in months, I smile. The drive is quiet, the only sound the hum of the car engine and the occasional flicker of the indicator as I make turns without thinking. The city lights blur around me like a distant memory. I'm not really focused on the road. My mind keeps replaying the scene, the look on their faces, the shock, the desperation, the silence. But what sticks with me the most is how easy it was to walk away, how good it felt to take control. I don't know how long I drive, but by the time I pull into the first quiet street I see, I realize I don't care. I don't care about anything anymore. Not right now. For the first time in a long while, I feel free. I sit in the car for a few moments, staring out at the empty street, my chest still tight with emotion. It's a weird mix of relief and anger, but mostly there's this deep, unsettling sense of calm. The storm has passed, and now it's just the aftermath, the cleanup, but it's mine to deal with, not theirs. The phone buzzes in my pocket. It's a text from Jack. I don't need to look at it to know what it says. He probably wants an explanation, a plea, maybe even an apology. The words come to my mind so clear, I can almost hear them. Please, Emma, don't do this. But I don't respond. Not this time. I've spent too many years waiting for someone else to make me feel like I matter, waiting for someone else to decide when I should be happy. Not anymore. Instead, I open my phone and find my own text thread. I scroll down, looking at the messages I've sent and received, remembering a time when things felt simple, when I was just Emma, before the lies, before the betrayal. But now, I'm someone else. I've shed the old version of me, like a skin that doesn't fit anymore. It's strange, though this feeling of being untethered, I thought it would feel more like a victory, a triumph, but instead, there's this quiet ache in my chest. It's not about Jack or Sarah. It's about the years I lost. Years I wasted on trying to make a relationship work that was never built on anything solid to begin with. I shut off the phone and stare at the steering wheel for a long time. Then, I drive again. Somewhere. Anywhere. I don't have a destination in mind, and it's liberating. At some point, I end up at a park. The swing set creaks in the wind, and I sit on one, letting my feet drag along the ground as I swing slowly. It's peaceful here. Simple. And I need that as I sit there. I think about what comes next. I can't go back to what I was before. That girl who waited for others to make the decisions, who clung to relationships out of fear of being alone. I'm not her anymore. I can't afford to be. The thought makes me smile, though it's not a joyful smile. It's something new, something dangerous. It's a promise to myself, a vow that I'll never let anyone take away my power again. Not Jack, not Sarah, not anyone. I know it's not over, not by a long shot. There's still the fallout, the inevitable conversations with people who want explanations, who want to know why I did what I did. But I'm not afraid of that anymore. I'm not afraid of anything. When I finally stand up and leave the park, the world feels different. It's the same world, but I'm not the same person. And for the first time, I feel ready for whatever comes next. The next morning is like any other, but it's not. The sun rises in the same sky, casting a familiar golden glow over the city. But everything feels slightly out of focus. It's as if the world is waiting for me to decide what it's going to be today. I wake up in a new apartment, a small, cozy place I found on a whim a few weeks ago. It's not much, but it's mine. I've always told myself I didn't need much, but now, with the stillness of the room around me, I realize how much I've been longing for space. Space to breathe, to think, to exist on my own terms. There's no rushing to get up, no checking my phone for messages from Jack or Sarah, no pretending everything's fine. Today, I do things for me, and that, for the first time in ages, feels good. I stand by the window, looking out at the city streets below. It's busy, like always. People walking, cars honking, life moving forward. But I'm not part of the crowd anymore. For the first time in a long time, I'm standing still, grounded in who I am and where I want to go. The phone buzzes again. Jack. The messages haven't stopped coming, not since last night. I know he's probably begging for forgiveness, trying to make sense of what I did, but I don't need to read them. I already know what they say. I'm sorry. Please talk to me. We can fix this, but there's nothing to fix. That's what I've come to understand. The relationship wasn't broken because of one mistake or another. It was broken because it was never built on honesty. It was built on a lie, and I wasn't going to spend another second of my life pretending I didn't see it. I delete the texts without a second thought, feeling no guilt, no hesitation. It's a small but powerful act of self-respect. I've spent years chasing something that wasn't real. I don't need to do that anymore. The day passes in a blur of unpacking, rearranging, and setting up a life that feels completely foreign, but completely mine. I'm busy in a way I haven't been in a long time, and it feels good. No more secrets, no more lies, just me learning what it means to live for myself. Around dusk, I decide to take a walk. The evening air is cool, the city humming with its usual rhythm. I walk past familiar streets, but I feel like a stranger in my own neighborhood. I feel the weight of my past behind me, but it doesn't weigh me down anymore. I carry it like a memory, something that shaped me but doesn't define me. I pass a cafe where I used to meet Jack and Sarah, and for a moment, I wonder if I'll ever see them again. It's strange, but I don't feel the anger I thought I'd feel. Instead, there's a soft sort of sadness, a realization that the people I thought I knew, the people I thought I could trust, were never who I believed them to be. But that's okay. It's their loss, not mine. I continue walking, my footsteps light, the future open and waiting. And for the first time in a long time, I feel a sense of purpose, a clarity I didn't know I was missing. I know it won't be easy, but it doesn't matter. I've learned to take things one step at a time. I'm no longer afraid of what's ahead, because now, for the first time, I'm truly free.